I don't think there's enough out here in the music industry or the electronic music industry that focuses on giving back or talk about like causes and issues that matter. And the reason why I chose this as well, aside from being in love with the festivals and the music and the scene, is DJs, unlike Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish, you don't really know how they look like.
Right.
So you know them because of their track, but they actually have so much power and influence that isn't like super all over the media. I want to create something where I create a media platform where I get to interview these DJs, but beyond them as artists, like them as human beings, them about depression, breast cancer, like whatever cause is close to their hearts. And maybe I can do some sort of partnership with them. Like, and that was it. That was like the vision.
And I want you to talk about that real quick because I see that all the time where people are like, oh, I want to help people, but then they don't chase money. And then there's people that chase a bunch of money and then they don't want to help people. How did you find that happy medium? Because if you have a bad relationship with money, you're never going to have money. Bottom line, you could want to help the world, but if you're the greatest way to help people is to not be one of the people that need help yourself. You know what I mean? Because you ain't helping nobody if you need help, right?
Yeah.
So talk about how you found that medium, because I agree with you 100%, but I've never heard anybody explain it like that, because obviously nobody wants to do things. I mean, there's probably people that want to do things just for money, right? But that's them. But there's people that want to make money, but they also want to have the fulfillment and they also want to make a difference. So how did you find that medium, or how did you come to that conclusion? Or was it a moment? Was it like experiences? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, so I feel like it's been a continuous journey and I'm still learning every day. But I will say what happened was, like, I went to the other end of the spectrum. I was like, yeah, I'm going to just throw all my money to start this music and charity company. And then literally, like, we launched like charity merchandise, like collaboration with DJs. I would fly myself because when I was brand new, I didn't know anyone in the music industry.
Right.
I would like buy my own ticket, fly myself, go to these festivals, network, meet people, share my vision. And they're like, wow, this is so cool. Because I do believe that Neon Owl is unique, right? It truly merges music and philanthropy.
Okay.
So I would like insert myself to this, you know, whatever, networking / festival /
hey,
event
here I am. Yeah.
and share my vision out of my own pocket. So that generated a lot of amazing relationships. Like I get to work with some of the biggest festivals and my favorite DJs, which was amazing. And then from that stemmed like open door sessions, right? Like, so you've been to that, and that's all about developing artists. So because I met all these amazing people, like record labels, festival producers, promoters, vocalists, DJs, I started connecting them all. They're like, oh my God, you're like the matchmaker. And so I was like, oh yeah, I am. And so I started creating these events because my passion, like even though working with big DJs and festivals is great, my passion is discovering a new artist or like helping someone that has a vision
Right.
and they just don't have the connections or the knowledge. So I started hosting open door sessions in person,
Okay.
all before COVID. And, you know, luckily I had my coaching business. I still have it, but I'm not working on it as much. But I was working with people on branding, them quitting their jobs and starting their passion projects. So
Yeah.
that business was bringing in good money.
So you were like consulting people.
Yeah. So I never felt like I couldn't spend on my baby and passion project Neon Owl.
Well, there's no limit for your passion, right?
Yeah, so I never felt that. However, I got burnt out because after so many years of doing that and not treating it like a business, and that's my realization, right? Which is, here I am spending, let's say, 10 hours or like 15 hours on my coaching business that brings in a lot of money. And here I am spending like 30, 40 hours on this baby passion project of mine that's all about giving back.
Right.
Eventually, there's a point when you're like, oh shit, like, and I went through the training, I did the work. I'm like, okay, there's something here. Like, I'm feeling so burnt out. I'm not feeling as much joy from it anymore. Not because I don't love artists, I don't like helping them, but I'm like, shit, I never treated this like a business. And in order to create more impact, better events, more support for charities, I'm going to need the resources to actually grow this business, not just hobby.
Right.
So you were treating it like a hobby and it paid you like a hobby.
Yes.
Hobbies cost you money.
I never put two and two together. Like for the longest time, I was kind of like, but I love this. Like, I'm creating this. The music industry needs this. Like, they're starving artists. And I kept making these stories in my head,
Right.
making up these stories in my head. Like,
You were justifying it.
thinking like, okay, I left this money to pursue like fulfillment.
Yeah.
But why can't money be a part of fulfillment, right? Making an
Of
impact,
course.
making a difference, and making money.
Of course.
Right? Why did I just treat my coaching business like a lucrative business and this as just like a giving? And as I did all this work, right, this deep like personal development work, I was like, oh, there's a part of this that's like money is always an awkward subject. The way I was raised, right?
Yeah.
Money is awkward, right?
Limiting beliefs.
And the second piece is like, it's like a part of it is self-worth.
Right.
It stems from like needing to be liked. It stems from needing to serve, needing to do for people, right? Needing to offer so much value so I can be like liked or needed or wanted. So I better not start charging now. And actually, it took me a long time and my own friends, my artist friends saying, Elaine, no one's going to think you're a greedy asshole if you start charging for your events that cost you thousands of dollars to put together. I'm like, are you sure? And
you're
like,
running basically a nonprofit, right?
it's like, and so I think like after doing it for so long, I just realized like, dude, we're never going to make the impact that we want to make like internationally if the business isn't profitable, if you don't start treating it like a business.
Right.
And that's when I had that shift.
That's awesome.
Of like, hey, you can be up to big things in the world and help people and prosper at the same time. That doesn't make you evil. That only gives you more resources to touch more lives.
So you kind of shed the limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny you said something because I've always heard this from mentors that are very wealthy. They said, you will never out-earn your self-esteem. Like, it doesn't matter how hard you work, how many books you read. If you don't grow yourself, your income's not going to grow. Your income grows at the rate that you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you made the transition, right? I know you mentioned Neon Owl a lot. Tell us, what is Neon Owl? Tell us about that. Is that the business that basically you're talking about right now?
That is one of my multiple.
Yeah.
So Neon Owl it's basically what I quit my job for. Like I knew I loved music and music festivals, but I'm not musically talented. So I don't play anything.
Like
I DJ'd once just because everyone was like, Elaine, you should DJ at the Neon Owl stage.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I did it once, but I basically, my brother and I used to go to all these festivals, right?
Yeah, like EDM and stuff like that.
Like EDC and like Coachella and all the festivals, and we loved it. And I've always loved music, obviously, but I felt like electronic music
Okay.
was the first type of event where it's so like people embraces each other and they're unique. They have all these weird colors and outfits on.
You can kind of be yourself.
Yes.
It's like one of the only places you can be like the biggest weirdo and you fit in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's very different than my experience from going to other types of concerts / events. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, what if like every day could be like this? And so around that time, I also realized it was like, at that point, I think it was like a $7 billion industry.
Wow.
And tickets were expensive, like $300, $400, $500 even. And I remember like buying a ticket. And then at the bottom, it would say, would you like to donate $5? I'm like, bitch, why don't you donate? You're making bank. And so,
I know. You got the money. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I don't think there's enough out here in the music industry or the electronic music industry that focuses on giving back or talk about like causes and issues that matter. And the reason why I chose this as well, aside from being in love with the festivals and the music and the scene, is DJs, unlike Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish, you don't really know how they look like.
Right.
So you know them because of their track, but they actually have so much power and influence that isn't like super all over the media.
Right. They're the unsung heroes, basically.
Yeah. So they're also, that makes them a little more accessible too.
Right.
So I was like,
have a lot of friends who are DJs. I grew up in the Bay Area and it was all about house music in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right? Most of my friends are DJs, so I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, like I think like I want to create something where I create a media platform where I get to interview these DJs, but beyond them as artists, like them as human beings, them about depression, breast cancer, like whatever cause is close to their hearts. And maybe I can do some sort of partnership with them. Like, and that was it. That was like the vision. Like it started with t-shirts. So my brother and I love this DJ called Andrew Rael.
Okay.
And we made these shirts. Like, it was super like janky. It was like he got this like janky ass printing machine, and it said like Rael family.
Yeah.
And like I like was so proud, and like I was gonna give it to him at like the Fox Theater one time, and I'm so glad I didn't, because when we washed it, like all the letters came off. So it was super like janky. But over time, like we made much better shirts, and then we were wearing them at different festivals.
Yeah.
And then like the Rael family grew, and everyone would like trade us these like candy, like which is bracelets and stuff for the shirts. And then so he started like commenting and like reaching out to me on social media. He was like, "Oh my God, so cool!" And I was like, and so Ray and I were
created
like,
a movement.
and so I was like, "Yo, man, let's get this like Andrew Rael." Like he was like our favorite DJ. I was like, "Let's get him to partner up with us."
What's his name again?
Andrew Rael.
Andrew. Okay.
He's pretty big. Like he's like they call him like Armin's like protege. So he's very
Armin
big.
Van Buren.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love Armin.
Yeah, and so like we started it just with this idea to create shirts, create community, like create content.
Yeah.
And so I basically did my first couple interviews. Like I cold called, because I'm so used to that, right? I used to knock on doors for house painting.
Hustler.
So I was just like messaging them on Facebook, Instagram, email, like, yo, like let me do an interview with you. But here's the purpose of Neon Owl. Our motto is dance, give, inspire.
Okay.
I love that.
So instead of, hey, let me interview you, it's like, hey, I want to leverage your story and like your voice to talk about causes that matter, like give back, like maybe some cool activations, some charity merch, so on and so forth. And so got a lot of crickets, got a lot of no's, but also got a lot of yeses.
Yeah.
So how I started Neon Owl was just literally like hustling and doing interviews and networking. And over time,
So
it
that
evolved.
college degree is the one that helped you out, right?
So pretty much goodbye UC Davis and like
Yeah. So thank God you quit UC Davis and went to that painting internship, right?
Exactly.
And also the main important thing is because you love music and you love helping people, and then you just had to figure out how to combine them together.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, exactly. I didn't have like zero talent like in music, but I knew I had the people skills. I was like, okay, so what can I do with my people skills and like my passion to do something and like raise money, raise funds, right, for stuff. And so I just started there and I did interviews, and then eventually it led to us partnering with Andrew Rael and a bunch of other favorite DJ. So we're friends now, and you know, working with different festivals for cool activations, charity shows, and from then stemmed Open Door Sessions because, like I mentioned earlier, I am so passionate about being the girl that shows you that song with like 3 plays, right? Like, and featuring new artists.
You want to find the up and comers.
Yeah.
Is this the one that I went to in Berkeley?
Yes.
That's okay. Got it.
So where we have like demo listening parties, we
right.
bring in like artists, like record labels, managers to like give you feedback on your tracks and really just create community, because it's nearly impossible for most artists, or even if you're in PR, or you're like a new promoter, you're like a new company, it's rare that you'll get FaceTime or feedback from like your favorite DJ or a record label. So we try to create that space where people can really come together to, the motto for Open Door Sessions is connect, create, elevate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they always say that if you want to be successful, you have to find a problem and then find the solution for it, right? So you, through your passion, through your experience, you're like, hey, there's this big problem here. And you found the solution, and bam, that's where the business came from. It's funny too, because I myself grew up in the electronic music age, but maybe like one generation before you. So I was raving when I was 17. That's 26, 27 years ago. So I remember going, yeah, exactly. Wow.
Like,
right?
wow.
Yeah, you guys are like, whoa, geez, I was like 5, right?
Wait, who were you listening to?
Yeah, but back then it was like, you know, shit, I don't even remember DJ Dan, like DJ Sneak, you know, a lot of the still like the original DJs, right? And but I just remember like they were just awesome. Like we used to go to raves like in Oakland, like the warehouses and stuff like that. So I know, so that's what eventually became like EDC and these big ones, right? But I was going to those bootleg raves like at the Oakland warehouse.
What's up.
Yeah, so I know all that stuff, and like a lot of my friends growing up were DJs. It's funny because I was the only one that didn't DJ. Everyone else DJ'd. I loved music. My dad was a singer, but I couldn't sing, right?
Yeah.
So kind of like very similar to you. So open door sessions. Where is that going, or what's your vision for that?
Yeah. So honestly, I created it because I saw the problem and I was like, oh, I just want to like be able to create a space where people come together and honestly, through those events in person, like you went to one, but we've hosted them in LA as well, and virtually, of course, due to the pandemic, and here in San Francisco and Bay Area. So we've gotten a lot of artists to have their tracks signed to labels.
Wow,
and we got them booked, right? And just like so many amazing connections, which is what it's all about. And I can't wait till we can have in-person events again.
Yeah, I want to be there.
But basically, what's been happening is, like after my break, like literally last year or about a year and a half ago, I just worked myself to the ground with my many businesses, and I had to take a break for myself. And even then I was like, oh my God, what if I take a break? And people are like, what's happening? You know, and Sergio was like, Elaine, your friends are still going to love you if you take a little break and you take a cross-country road trip. This actually my third one, this time with him, and moved to New York again. And so like I took a break, and right now what's happening with that is we are building open door sessions virtual, which will be that's been the plan for a long time already, because sometimes we would live stream these in-person events, and people like from like Mexico or India be like, how can I submit my track? I was like, sorry, it's for in-person only. But now we actually get to build a membership platform where people can attend from all over the world.
That's the future, by the way.
Yes. Like, and that's where we're headed. Yeah.
So like even in financial and all that, everything's going virtual. Like everything's going virtual. Like you said, because just like with this podcast, like if you have it local, like you can only reach like the people in that city. But if you have it virtual, like you're worldwide now. Like you could reach like, I mean, so a couple questions for you. How do you feel about virtual and the future of music? And then number two, why don't you create your own label to sign DJs?
Yes. So yes, I've thought about all those things. So what I think about virtual is it's great. Like it's the same thought I have around social media, right?
Okay.
Some of my friends hate social media. They despise it. I'm like, dude, social media is what allows you to reconnect with your high school, elementary school friend. Social media is what allows for your music, right, to be heard. Like there's so much that social media can do for us, but at the same time, I understand that it also has a lot of negative stuff on it. And I personally am an in-person person. So I'm glad we're here doing this podcast.
Me too.
I don't believe that virtual will match the energy and the connection and a hug of a real in-person open door sessions. However, it is the future, and it's scalable and it's accessible. So that's my feeling on virtual. It's like you can't avoid it.
So you think it's a combination of both? Virtual could grow it, but then eventually you could funnel the virtual into big, huge like events, like
like seminars and like things like that. Yeah. So I think both are important.
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of a weird comparison, right? But you know, they say after the pandemic, like DJs became like basically models, like OnlyFans or something like that. You know what I mean? So because now DJs, the only way they can reach their community is by streaming online, right? So have you ever thought of creating something, and that's a horrible analogy, but like an OnlyFans for DJs where they can have their fans sign up monthly and hear them play and have like events? Like, I mean, to me, that just like is like a genius idea. Is like, because like, you know, they can use like social media or whatever, some platform where they're like, okay, you know, this is every month I'm going to release like a new set, or every week I'm going to release a new set. And if you are part of my membership thing, then you get the first, or it's only for you. No one else is going to hear this, right? Or you get exclusive stuff from whatever. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my butt. But what if you created something like that? But you own the platform, you own the software or whatever, and then use all your connections and all your networks, and you create that, and then through that you have big festivals like you said, EDC, and like all these other ones that come from Neon Owl or something like that.
Yeah, I believe there are a few other platforms out there similar to that. It's like already like a subscription base.
Yeah, subscription
where like, let's
base.
say
That's what I meant.
DJ Joe, you know, whoever has their like super fans.
Yeah.
So right now, what I'm creating is more so of like a networking / educational platform. But so, and the reason why is so my blessing and curse is that I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Therefore, it's one thing where it's like my friends like, oh, Elaine, if only you stuck to one of your multiple passions, you would like murder it. Like, and I'm like, that's probably true. But I'm passionate about multiple things, and Neon Owl is just one of them. It's one vehicle for me to be able to inspire and touch people, and that is why I don't have a plan to create a platform like that. However, as this grows and as I get more resources to help me with this, I want to be able to be someone that fills in the gaps for all the like missing pieces and like puzzle pieces in the industry. Like I want to have my own record label that truly serves the artist, right? Like I've been asked to manage people before, but I know that managing is a huge task, and I have way more like things that I'm passionate about to even want to be able to take on an artist or two artists, because I know I wouldn't be able to devote the time to them. But ultimately, when I have the team and resources, I want to create like let's say PR, right? I want to do the PR. I want to be the manager. I want to do that for the artist with their best interests at heart, because I know sometimes there's a lot of messy things that happens in the industry, and you love some of it, you hate some of it. So if I'm going to create something, I have to know that I have the resources to truly serve the artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple things. So you talked about jack of all trades, master of one, right? It's always been said that if you ever want to be great at something, you have to focus on one thing, but it doesn't mean you have to focus on it and forget about the other ones. Is you focus on that until it becomes great, and then you can. But then there's also another thing. If it's all encompassing one certain thing, like let's just say music, but it's different parts of it, it's still the same thing. Does that make sense? So like even if it's music, like, you know, PR, label, as long as it all revolves around music, it's still one thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're not really a jack of all trades, because you're not doing music, but then doing financial, but then doing this. It's all revolves around one thing, right? So, you know, I think, you know, like you said, if you don't want to represent them, just focus on the core essence of the music, and the mission is to help them and to represent them. And then you could hire people to be management. You know what I mean? You could hire people to be this, but you're the CEO, you're the head, you're the one that says, okay, this is our vision, this is our purpose, this is how we're going to run it. And then you have all your connections. They all trust you already. And they know, you know, we're going to go with you versus ABC record label who doesn't care about us. It's just money, right? But as long as you have the main purpose, the main goal, then you could just basically hire people around you that are going to do what you don't want to do, as long as it stays the same thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So, okay. So Neon Owl, and then now the open door sessions. Is there anything? I know you have other businesses.
There was
too.
another one.
I
What's it
have a
called?
few others. So I have my greeting cards company. Well, actually, so first backtrack. I have my coaching business. So I've been working with clients for the last like 5 years, and that's a lot of people in career transition. They're like, oh my gosh, how do you make the jump? Like, I want to make the jump. Or they have their own vision of their neon owl, right? It could be anything. It could be like working with women. It could be like their community. Yeah, exactly. So I've worked with a lot of clients. So these are more so individuals or small businesses. I've done some consulting as well, because my background is more so in marketing and business development. So I have my marketing, my coaching business, and I've done that for about 5 years now. Yeah, so I had realized that I was leading with so much masculine energy for so long. And so this was the first time that I was in a relationship that, like, I mean, I feel horrible to say this, but like it was like the first time I was in a relationship where I really valued it, and I wanted to put that like first.
Yeah.
Like that was so foreign to me, because like I'll always be like putting my career first, my travel first, my goals first. But this time, like as we started dating, and I'd known him for a while, so that kind of helped that we knew each other's like
you guys
shit.
built the friendship first. Yeah.
And so I was finding myself like wanting to book a trip back to San Francisco, even if it was for a few days between travels. I was like, what's wrong with you, Elaine?
Yeah.
And so I like that. I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed taking the weekends off. And then I was just like, the relationship got serious really fast, but I surrendered to that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a resistance that I would
Yeah.
normally feel like.
You felt it was
no.
worth it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think you valued yourself a lot and you put a lot of hard work and you've been through a lot. So you're like, if anybody's going to get my time, it's going to have to be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really felt that way. And I also felt like he had this masculine energy that made me feel like safe
Yeah.
and feminine.
He was confident, but not like hard, too overboard.
Yeah.
Like someone who's truly confident and masculine doesn't have to show that they're masculine and confident. Like they just are.
Yeah. So I just kind of surrendered to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like let me make plans with my relationship in mind.
Wow.
And that was so foreign to me, but like over time he just like, you know, he always like praises me and like how he's inspired by me and my work ethic and everything. And he reminds me like how hard I work.
Yeah.
And like that I just get to like enjoy sometimes, you know? And so I found myself like in a total like breakdown about less than a year and a half ago. It was like a year something ago. I was in Argentina and Brazil and it was supposed to be a vacation.
Yeah.
But I found myself working the entire time. I was with one of my best friends, Monica. I was on Zoom calls. I was trying to figure out the next open door sessions. I was onboarding a new coaching client. I was doing all this stuff. And I had spent like probably like $5,000 on this trip. And I was like, I didn't even show up to this trip, like mentally and emotionally. I was like,
You're distracted.
what the fuck am I doing? And I remember just having like this like moment. I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I quit my job to pursue entrepreneurship and my passions to be like joyful and free and like aligned. And I actually feel quite trapped by my businesses and my goals. And I felt like what came from a place of, you know, Sergio helped me like really see this, even though you don't want to hear from your partner sometimes. It's like I've gotten the feedback before, which is like, why are you always trying to like level up, right? It's a very masculine energy.
Yeah. It's a high achiever. energy.
And I love that. I love that part of me. But now that I'm also valuing my relationship and practicing I am enough and I am whole, that's not very I am enoughy, right? Like if I'm like, more.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, are you doing this because you feel like that's what others are expecting of you to achieve the next level, the next phase? Are you doing this because you're trying to prove your parents wrong because they were like, you shouldn't do this, keep your job, right?
Yeah.
So why are you doing this? Is it because it's so aligned with who you are and the life that you want, which now includes relationship, right? It's not just success, impact. It's success, health, relationship, impact, and joy. Like a word that I also felt was so foreign to me because I did not feel it in my body.
Harmony.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And so when I came back, I immediately hired a femininity coach because I felt like, you know, even as a coach, coaches need coaches too. And that was an area I felt like I was called towards.
Yeah. I mean, what would athletes be without coaches? Just running around the
Exactly.
field trying to kill each other, you know?
Yeah. And I remember coming back and like talking to Sergio, and he was like, at that point, I was like really like gunning for launching open door sessions virtual. This is before the pandemic. And ultimately that took a pause because he was like, babe, just take a moment. We're about to move to New York.
Yeah.
We're about to take a cross-country road trip where we get to go camping and all this stuff. It's like, if you paused for a moment, no one's gonna not love you, hate you, or leave you. Like you've created so much that even if you took a year hiatus, you'll come back and your impact will still be there. And I was like, and he was like, I'll love you whether you are, you know, Queen Owl. So that's what my neon owl people call me. They
Queen
call me
Owl.
Queen Owl. I'll love you whether you're Queen Owl, some multi-millionaire coach person, or if you work at Subway.
That's
And I was
love
like,
right there.
I was like,
That's
if I
beautiful.
work at Subway, okay, I'm never gonna work at Subway, but thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like he brought you back to like the present moment in a way because you keep going after these things, which is there's nothing wrong with it, but you also need a breather.
Yeah,
You need some self-care and, you know, stuff
Yeah.
like
He
that.
made you feel worthy.
yeah,
He
and
made you feel like you were good enough no matter what.
yeah, and it's like I know I am, and it's like it's different to hear that like from someone that's like someone you really love, right? And like my partner. And so I was like, oh. And usually if someone says like, he'll be like, if you want to do all this charity stuff, like I'll just make all the money and like you can do your charity stuff, right? And usually I'll be like, F you, man, like I'll make my money.
Yeah.
But for the first time I was like, even though I'll always be working for sure,
Right,
like
right,
I'm
right.
like, I received that. So I actually
Yes,
felt like, let it in, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you give so much, but it's
Yeah.
time to receive as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
a coach once taught me, they're like, if you're planting all these seeds, but you're not harvesting your crops,
Right.
aka receiving,
Yeah.
you're fucked.
I
Like,
love that.
because
Okay.
how are the new crops supposed to like sprout and come out, right? If you're not harvesting, if you're all about
Right.
give, and you don't receive, and so that's been like the story of my life and something I've been consciously working on. And so that brings me to my new businesses, which is every single thing I've built and done has been such a like intense project, like takes so much of my time and effort and energy, literally like blood, sweat, and tears, but with a moment of celebration,
Right.
like 1 minute.
You didn't
One
stop
day.
to smell the roses.
And so I was like, holy shit. So I was like, moving forward, I'm going to create some short-term wins as well and immediate gratification, aka my greeting cards company,
Right.
aka Rodan Fields.
Okay.
So it balances me out.
Okay.
Nice.
So that, I mean, there's so much in what you just said, and there's a lot of me in that too, but I feel like, maybe the drive and the need to achieve came from the wrong place, I guess, but it's not a wrong thing. It was just channeled the wrong way. And Sergio kind of taught you, hey, you're good enough, just you. And then you said, hey, I am, but I'm still a boss lady. So I'm not going to get rid of that. But
Yeah.
now it's coming from a better place. And then also too, I think, and I could be wrong, you correct me, but the relationships you had before were not the best. You finally have a good relationship
Yeah.
and a good person and someone that completes you and makes you better. That's actually my affirmations, whoever my partner's going to be, right? We make each other better, because that's the person you're meant to be with. Like they make you better. They don't make you worse. Like you're not like going backwards, you're going forward. So that's amazing. Like the universe is crazy. And I bet you were not even expecting it. It just kind of like
No.
smacked you in the face. Like,
Yeah.
it was always underneath your nose. And you didn't even realize it, right?
Yeah. Also, I believe in law of attraction, right? You were doing the things that you love, and then you attracted it naturally. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
congrats.
Thank you.
So now you guys are in New York. What's going on there?
Well, I sold him on the amazing New York, and then we went into winter, and then COVID.
You're
But
like,
I was like,
"Hey."
promise, babe, I promise, it's amazing. And he did get to experience a little bit of summer,
Yeah.
because even though it was COVID, it was still like New York vibes. People were still out,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it was still the busiest place in the U.S. Like
Yeah, of
if you
course.
compare. So he did enjoy the little taste of summer he had. We're out there, like for the most part, we're working. He flies here a lot. I fly here sometimes. I work out of WeWorks just to switch it up a little
Yeah,
bit,
I know
because I'm
WeWorks.
like, I can't work at home the whole time.
Yeah,
So
you need to get
just
out.
doing my thing out there.
Yeah. So you're going to do everything that you've already built, but you're going to establish it in New York now.
So I'm not attached to a place, but if ever a place felt like home in the U.S., it's New York.
Okay.
Like I always feel like I'm a woman of the world, but New York is like home here in the U.S.
So for now, New York is where you're
Yeah.
where home is going to be, but your businesses are everywhere. Like you don't have to be in New York. That's
No,
just
I
gonna
could be
home
in
base.
Bali, but Bali I believe is closed right now.
Yeah.
Or Colombia.
So yeah. So just real quick, because I want to talk about being a digital nomad, because I had a little dream of doing that for a little while when I
Yeah.
started getting into this whole content creation stuff. Just talk about that life. Like, where have you been? I mean, I know it's not everything is cracked up. I know
Yeah.
it's like exciting, but there's also like some downs.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about a digital nomad. Like, how long were you there for? Where have
Yeah.
you been? What were you
Yeah.
doing?
So it's amazing in so many ways. Like I've traveled to a lot of places. I've been to like Costa Rica, Thailand, Bali, Japan, Colombia. It's one of my favorites.
I heard a lot of good things about Colombia.
Yeah, so like Colombia, I could totally like live and work there.
Really?
Thailand, I could like live and work there. Like Bali, I could live and work there. Some other places like Cuba's expensive ass internet. Like that's not happening. Argentina was cool. Yeah, so I've been to like a good amount of places. I would say like sometimes it would be for a few weeks, sometimes it would be for like a couple months. But I will say it looks great on Instagram
Yeah.
and all that. But I feel like for like a true entrepreneur that has like a busy schedule and is grinding it out, not just like kind of chilling.
Yeah.
Like some people are fine. Like maybe
It's
you
more
can
like self-employed.
chill. Yeah, but if you're like building something and you need to be on meetings and like Zooms and like you're creating stuff, it's actually kind of stressful unless you live in that place for a long period of time.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, there's a jet lag, there's a travel time, there's a readjusting time, there's internet issues, there's like so many things.
Getting to know the country and the culture and all that.
Yes, and then you're kind of like tired. Then there's like you get like stomach aches and flu. Like when you go to Bali, your stomach's gonna hurt for like a week. So it's like there's so many different things and factors that makes it seem way more glamorous than it actually is. So for me, like a high level achiever, someone that likes to be productive, you actually kind of feel like shit sometimes when you're doing the digital nomad thing. So if anyone is thinking about doing it, I would say you can do it, find a place with good internet, but stay for longer.
Okay, so be like a longer term.
Yeah, because you're also going to want to get to know the people, right?
Yeah.
You're also going to want to explore. It's not you're just working there. Like the reason why you want to go there is you also want to experience the culture. So I would like only recommend going for longer periods of time.
So would you say like
Like-
6 months or more?
Yeah. What would you say?
I would say like at least like 3 months in one place. There's like very little setup factor. Then sure, maybe a little
Yeah.
less, like a month.
So like
But you
little.
can't do a week here and a week here and a week here. Like you're
Oh,
barely like
Yeah.
you can't be moving
Yeah.
around, but like, oh,
Yeah.
this internet's crap. Oh,
here's my one day of productive work.
Right,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So like it has to be like a good workspace, good internet, very very conducive to
No
that.
tummy aches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you go to different countries, different food, different water. Obviously, your body's
Yeah.
gonna need a.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have 2 questions, and maybe I don't know if Joe has questions, but what's the greatest lesson you learned from being a digital nomad, and what's the one thing that you just want to warn people about being a digital nomad?
Ooh. The warning I would say is kind of like what I said. It's like it's really not what Instagram shows. It's like, oh, here I am at the beach or the jungle with my laptop. It's like your Wi-Fi is down, dude.
Yeah, you're not creating nothing.
So that's one, I think. And then the greatest like lesson I would say, it's not so much about being a digital nomad, but it's just like traveling in general. I think I'm so grateful for like having all the experiences I've experienced because it's also very humbling. Especially when you go to like other places. Like I've never really been fascinated with like Europe. I've been, right? But like going to some other countries where people have a lot less than us, it's like holy shit, like it makes you so grateful for what you have. And in a way it kind of inspires me to create more because I want to give back more. So if anything, I would just say like really being present and being able to travel is a huge gift. So whether you're a digital nomad or not, like literally like traveling to other countries, especially those that are less fortunate than here, is like very eye-opening. And those experiences I would like not trade for anything.
Yeah, 100%. Because
Yeah.
like even people like in like you said Cuba a lot, because Cuba's
Mhm.
pretty one of the countries that's kind of been held back a lot, you know.
Mhm.
And like for something like this going on to Cuba, they're just worrying about food, or like Venezuela, you know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm.
Well, we're worrying about, oh, we have to stay home and we have to wear a mask to go shopping.
Mhm.
They're worrying about
Boo-hoo.
where's my next meal coming from.
Yeah.
Or clean water.
Yeah,
Mhm.
or I can't.
Or yeah, because like honestly, I love traveling so much. It's not just for the nice, bougie things that you see, all the nicest things. It's also like when I see kids and people, no slippers,
Mhm.
dirt all over their face, and honestly, and they're having fun.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like you could have no like less things and still have fun, and it's like, wow, what am I doing in my life here in America? I'm taking so many things for granted, and like it inspires me to want to just give back to them too. And that's also one of the visions of being in the bliss seekers, and for us to be able to give back to third world countries.
yeah.
That's one
Tell
of my
them about
goals.
your goal with photography.
So when I visit different countries and communities, when I take my photos, right, I want to have a photo exhibition. most likely here in America, and kind of like have a presentation like, hey guys, this is what's going on in this community, and like, have a donation fundraising. I don't know anything about that, but maybe I can ask you. But basically, I want to give them a voice and exposure and what's going on in this city, in this community. Like, hey guys, they need help.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's actually amazing, and I'm sure you could figure something out. I actually thought about something similar because there's so many creative artists and like graffiti art. I love graffiti art, so I was actually thinking of creating a collection in the greeting cards company where it's like I feature the artists from like Colombia or wherever,
Yeah,
and the
that's awesome.
proceeds goes to them.
Exactly.
So,
Maybe
yeah,
you could
I'm
put-
sure. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can work together on
because
something.
You could
my
put Joe's
thing
photos
is-
on your greeting cards.
Yeah,
Because honestly, my thing is, I want to help people with my art. My art is not just for likes. It's not just for like, oh my God, like get an award for like, my photos has been in newspapers and stuff like that. But I want to do more where I can actually help like feed people or whatever. And I don't want to just do it in America. I want to do it all over the world. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
she took
yeah.
some
It's
really
amazing.
awesome pictures in Guatemala of like poor
Yeah.
kids and bartenders. They're like amazing. I think you guys should do a greeting
Yeah.
card collaboration collab.
Yeah,
And Hatem, our video, he's becoming an amazing photographer. One of his photos went viral on Google. Yeah,
he wants
yeah.
to do documentaries, by the
Yeah,
way.
he wants to documentary.
Yeah,
So.
and when you talk about travel, like I get giggly because I love traveling too. And when I went to Antigua, Guatemala by myself, it's one of the bravest things I've ever done in my life, and people call me crazy, and I
Yeah.
love it
Yeah.
because a lot of people wouldn't do it because they're scared of it. But also, like I said, it inspired me. That's where the idea came from. I took a bunch of photos. 99% of the photos I've taken, I've never shown to social media all over the world
Really?
because I want those photos to be on like an exhibition and like show people like,
Or
hey,
greeting cards.
yeah,
greeting
like,
cards.
these kids need help. They come
Yeah.
from low income families. You know what I'm saying? And education is a big thing. So
I think that's a $1 million idea. You guys need to get
Amazing.
together and photos and your cards, and every card that gets purchased percentage goes to donate to those kids and
Yeah.
or what that cause in that country. And
Yeah, cards or like artwork, like
Artwork,
prints,
yeah,
postcards. Yeah.
yeah.
it's limitless. Just being creative and resourceful. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It
so
excites me.
so this will evolve eventually to a travel channel and all that stuff. So that's why I wanted to ask you about digital nomad and all that because you already have the experience. You know?
So Wi-Fi
Yeah,
must have
yeah,
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
For me, I just have a little 17-year-old dog that I'm basically her caretaker now, and
Yeah.
plus COVID and all that. So right now we're kind of grounded, but I'm getting all the travel credit cards. I'm racking up the points. Like I'm preparing, and I hope these guys are too, because once we're able to take off, like the Bliss Seekers will be a travel kind of vlog too. So
I'll connect you with my other digital nomad
yeah, there
friends.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can help us with the connection, and I mean everything happens for a reason. And so what I was thinking for us is we travel and then we podcast about the experience. Travel podcast, and then also then a video, a travel vlog comes out of it, and then the documentary comes out of it.
And
It just
photos.
yeah. And then we put it all on your greeting cards.
Yeah.
And then we all meet up and have this big house party and
Heck
to
yeah.
house
With my
music.
DJ friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And we'll do our Rodan Fields facials.
Yeah, there you go. Right? And everyone gets
All
their facials.
encompassing.
We're all gonna have amazing skin, right? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
but-
so it's like, what if like you live a life every single day, you get to create and also help people. That's the life. That's the life for me.
Yeah,
So.
and that's the goal. And
Yeah.
that will happen. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? The
sure.
compound will be there. That's where everything. We're just. I mean, the goal is like every day. What are we gonna create today? Where
Yeah.
are we gonna go somewhere? Are we gonna do a podcast?
Who we gonna help,
Who we
right?
gonna help? Viral philanthropy too. You know what I mean? So awesome. So you guys are in New York. It's a little shut down because of COVID, but
Yeah.
that's just home. Businesses are still going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to share with all the listeners? Anything else you want to talk about real quick before Joe? We always have this special segment at the end where Joe asks 6 powerful questions where it's going to go deep, right?
All right.
But
bring it on.
if you have anything else to say before we get to that,
I mean, no, we covered a good amount. Who knows? Maybe there will be a part 2
Of course there's gonna
eventually.
be a part
I
two.
think no, Soldier will
There's
have a
so
part
much.
2 when
Yeah.
his book comes out. I can't wait
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
continue
there's
to
a
do.
lot, right? There's like so much like that's embedded in this whole thing, right? Like from past traumas, like masculine femininity, like
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. Like there's so much. So I'm sure there will be a part
Yeah.
2 at some point.
And you're gonna
Yeah.
inspire some people. So they're gonna inspire a lot of
You already
people out there.
inspired us.
Yeah, that
Aw.
are going.
Kidding me?
I
Thank
thought
you.
I learned something, by the way, because I'm a high achiever, and then I always find myself like having to want more and why, and I think I figured out that I'm trying to achieve so much to prove something also.
Hmm.
When I need to kind of take a step back and be like, hey, like you're okay, just even if you don't achieve anything, you're going to, but it's there's something powerful and freeing
Hmm.
when you realize that the achievement isn't you. It's just part of like your efforts, that you're already successful just being you.
Yeah.
And that's just an icing on the cake.
So because you said that, I will share one thing before she goes into the questions, and that is through all the work I've done, I've found that I value freedom so much, right? Freedom, success, and growth. So those are my top 3 words, or were, but I realized, where does that come from? My value for freedom and success and growth comes from like fear of it's like standing still, like fear of being insignificant, fear of being invisible. But a lot of those like motivations actually stem from like pain. So I'm like rewiring myself. It's like, why do I value freedom? Does that imply that I'm not free? Am I trying to break free? Like, what is still following me that I need to value freedom and success so much? Is it because I'm going to be unworthy? I'm going to amount to nothing if I don't create something world changing and so significant that like blows everyone out of the water? And so in a way, it's like, because I keep chasing those things, I'll never be free, right? I'll never be successful because my standards are so high for myself. And so it's like, it's a journey, right? So it's like, okay, what else do I value that's not so unobtainable, right? Because there's certain like rules to me being successful and free. Like I have to be successful. My parents have to think I'm successful. My partner does. Everyone.
Yeah.
So there's all these things that makes it impossible. So I've just really I'm refocusing and rewiring myself to value things that I already am, like courage, right? Courageous. And like growth is always going to be a thing, right? Because I'm always looking to grow. But if I really stem from like contribution and love, then I'm sure freedom and success and all these adventures and things is going to be a byproduct of that. So I'm really doing my best to like practice a different way of looking at things.
Wow.
Hmm.
Awesome. Thank
I
you.
love
Yeah.
that. It's like
I'll
you're
have to
changing
figure
your
that out.
vibration.
You're just changing the perception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
changing
Yeah.
your vibration.
It's not easy
perception,
for
words.
the masculine energy, like,
Yeah.
but I'm learning.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also like thank you guys for sharing that, because I'm also the same way. I'm like, I felt like, because my parents, only my mom recently told me that she's proud of me.
Mm.
Maybe because like, oh yeah, I got a YouTube thing, watch it,
Mhm.
whatever. But there's so many things, right? And like always want to do something, going after something. It's like never enough. Like I had to literally learn to tell myself like I am enough.
Mhm.
What I did for today was enough. Chill, you have tomorrow, you're gonna do all these things, because I'm always chasing after something all the time. I had to learn, because I'm pretty ambitious too. Like I had to learn, like that's gonna happen, but right now you need to go to sleep, get some good sleep, stop thinking about it,
Yeah.
write it down, and then continue tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
just be
you.
grateful for the moment.
Exactly, yo.
And just, nothing is wrong with this moment.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
it's a tough thing, but I think it's important. It's also ingrained in our subconscious too.
Yeah.
It comes from pain. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, this is not about me, but I could share lots of painful experiences from
Mhm.
young, like always having to never be accepted. Like, my friends are like, oh, we're going to pick you up. And then they never showed up. And I'm left there,
Mhm.
like friendless. And like just all these things I had to overcome as a kid, bullied, to then eventually becoming the cool kid. And like you said, I would always protect the kids that were bullied, because I remember when I was that kid, I'd be like, leave them alone. Like, and then like, what? I'm like, just leave them alone. Leave 'em alone. They didn't understand, you know what I mean? But I've been on both ends of the spectrum. So
Yeah.
I can relate a lot to that. But in the end, it's not what happens to you that matters. It's overcoming it. It's who you become. Like
Yeah.
I always tell people, it's not your parents' job is to make. I mean, really, they're the worst case scenario is for them to make you like to be able to survive and function as a normal human being. Nobody's perfect. The rest is up to us. If we got screwed up from some mistakes that some people made, okay, we're adults now. It's our job to like learn and fix it and grow and become better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stop playing the victim, like you said earlier, right? Find out what it is, fix it, and then move forward. And then they always say, don't give your kids things you didn't have. Teach them things you didn't that you were never taught. So for me, it's like for the next generation, it's okay. I'm going to teach them the things that I was never taught that will help them in life. But thank you. We really
Yeah.
appreciate all that. But now we have the world famous
World
Joe
famous.
6Qs.
Dun, dun,
She's going to
dun.
go deep and
Yeah, I
ask
have
us some
so
really
many
awesome questions.
but I'm gonna narrow it down to 6.
I mean, it could be more than 6. But it
I
was
know.
Joe's powerful cues.
Okay, so let's go with the first one. What's your number one wish for the world?
My number one wish for the world is one where we get to live as our authentic selves, do the things we're passionate about while creating an impact.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You.
By the way, did you watch Sergio's 6 questions?
I watched the
Excuse.
whole thing, but because it was 2 hours, I don't remember which the 6 questions were. So I did not prep for this.
Sorry, we didn't have part 1 and part 2.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, because I asked him the same question, and
Yeah.
he said oneness.
Oh, yes, I remember
I
that
was
now.
like,
Yes.
You guys are very in tune.
Yeah.
It's so simple but so profound. Anyway, it gave me chills. What one advice would you give to your family, like your whole family? General advice.
Yeah, so I guess never been asked this one. So I guess one piece of general advice I would share is it's okay to be open and vulnerable. And it's okay to show your love because ultimately that's like not weakness. And if anything, like we all die like wishing we could have spent more time or said more to the people that we love. So I guess if there was one thing I wanted, it would be for us to all be more open, vulnerable, and express like how it is that we feel, whether that's pain or love or gratitude.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's beautiful. A lot of people need to hear that.
Thanks for it.
No,
Minnesota.
seriously.
Yeah.
Especially in the Asian community, we don't. Yeah, like I said, we don't express emotions. I don't
A
know.
lot of communities, not just Asian, Hispanic
Okay.
too.
Well, yeah.
Well, some.
Yeah.
My family at least. I'm not going to generalize any other family.
Okay. So, what advice would you give someone who is afraid to come out to their family?
In general?
In general.
okay.
Yeah. Because you did.
Yeah.
You had to come out. Like, right.
So I will say the longer you wait, the harder it is, especially on yourself. So I can relate to that on so many levels because I literally lied since I was a child to protect myself, like from physical harm. And then I lied because I wanted to rebel, but I still wanted to be like, look okay, sort of at home. So that never really worked out very well. And then I lied to not let them down, right? So at the end of the day, it's like lying or not coming out is only going to like deteriorate who you are inside. And there's something about speaking the truth that really solidifies your core confidence, right? There's like external confidence and all this stuff. There's like pretending, but when you have nothing to hide and you are just like, you're unshakable. And I say this because it took me so long to come out with the truth to like my family about everything, the things that's happened to me, the things I've been through, me paying for my own school because I got kicked out. And it's just so freeing to actually come out with the truth. And oftentimes we think that we lie, we justify our lies or not coming out to not hurting the other person. But you really get to ask yourself, are you protecting yourself? Are you afraid to do something? Or is it really because you think it's going to tear your family apart? And it's funny because when people ask like, hey, like, do you think you can handle the truth? And, you know, the person will say, of course I can. Oh, okay. So why don't you think the other person can handle the truth? So we put this like this.
Making it about you.
Yeah. You know, and so I will say
Right.
the sooner you come out, the sooner you and others are free.
I love that.
That's powerful.
That is powerful. Okay. Gotta ask that one. So let's say you had 48 hours to live. What is the first and the last thing you would do?
Ooh. Okay. So I think No, 48 hours. That's interesting. Okay, so the first day, I think I would see what type of like impact I can create. So whatever it is that I've created already, the people that can help me make a difference in this world, I'll probably do like the logistical things to make sure that like Neon Owl or whatever charity work or my businesses can like go on and continue to create impact. The second day, I'll definitely like spend it with the people that I love. And if I have like some really fast jet that can like take me to all the places, I don't know how much can I fit in 24 hours. So basically, it's to do whatever I can to continue to spread the impact. And then, of course, spend my last day with the people that I love.
That's like
Yeah.
the number one answer is the last day. It's
Yeah.
always spend it with the people I love.
Yeah.
I mean, just don't sleep, I guess. If you want to travel and hop on
Well,
a
sleep when
jet.
you're dead. You'll be dead in 48 hours anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, we got this one. Okay, let's say at the end of your life, what would you be the most proud of? Something that you've done or like
Yeah.
just being yourself.
So at the end of my life, I think what I will be most proud of is always being true. That's like going after what it is that I want, like not like giving into what's expected of me and like really choosing my own path. And that includes choosing the people that I'm in relationship with. And that's also choosing my partner. And it's like standing up for what I believe is right.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always said, like, if I make a decision and it's my decision, even if it's a bad decision, it's my decision.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better than
Someone else.
someone else's decision. Like, I mean, if I screw up, at least I made the choice and not somebody else made it for me.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Mm-hmm. What is one thing you would change about yourself?
I don't think there's anything I would change about myself. There's things I'm working on.
Yeah.
There's things I'm working on, like really like what I shared earlier, right? Like truly figuring out what like gets in my way. Is it because my motivation stem from a place of like scarcity, pain, hurt, right? Like, so do my motivations come from fear or do they come from possibilities? Because I feel like when it comes from like fear instead of courage, right? Because like when you're courageous, there could be fear, but you're not letting that fear drive you, like run your life, right? So if anything, it's to consistently realign and grow to where I can truly like live life to the fullest and to my fullest potential, but not coming from a place of like ego, you know, but really coming from a place of service and what's true to me. So I'm always, I guess, I don't want to say improving because it's like, oh, improving, but I'm always like learning and I'm always growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly feel like you are so aligned with yourself and your heart.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of things that, you know, you've learned in your childhood or whatever that you need to unlearn.
Yes.
But you're definitely more aligned than a lot of people in this world too, because you're doing the things that you love as well. So thank you for
Thank
being
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's
It's
still
been
a journey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's still a journey.
Yeah.
We're always evolving too, which I think that's what's fun about life. You're always discovering, you're always evolving, you're always learning, unlearning, whatever. It's fun. It's all
Yeah.
an adventure, you know?
They say if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yes.
There's,
Yeah.
there's not one or the other. Like,
Yes.
you're either growing or you're dying. Well, wow, that was amazing. You know, let them know where they could find you. Like, this is your opportunity to let everybody know what you got going on.
Yeah. So whoa, that's like a lot of websites and socials to list off.
We'll,
but
we'll
I
put
will
it in the
say,
description. But
yeah,
you
you
can
put it in the
talk about-
description. But for in general, you can find me ElaineHuang.co. So Elaine, ELAINE, HUANG.co. If you want to learn more about Neon Owl, it's neonowl.co. And then liberationculture.co is my greeting cards company. And then Rodan Fields is the only not .co, so you can link it below. But for the most part, I'm really active on social media. So my handle is it's Elaine's World on Instagram. And then you can also find me, Elaine Huang. It's Elaine's World on Facebook as well. So I'm very active on socials. And then you can find me on my website.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What do they call you? The Queen Owl or?
Oh, Queen Owl is what my neon owl people call me. Yeah.
Well, definitely thank you again so much. Like, I'm very glad we got to have you. We heard so much about you, and all of it's 100% true in a good way, right? And I know you have so much more to share, but you're a special person, and I'm glad I met both you and Sergio because you guys are special together.
Aw.
And yeah, thank you so much. And if you guys like the podcast, please make sure you like, make sure you subscribe,
Share, please share.
share the video with somebody.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of stuff that we're gonna bring in, amazing people like Elaine. And yeah, again, thank you so much. We really all enjoyed having you here.
Honestly, it's such an honor, and like I feel like every single guest that we have, it's so inspiring, and we just can't wait to share it with the world. And I just want to give a shout out to DJ Miki Taka. She's the one who introduced me to Elaine and Sergio at Open Door Sessions in Berkeley, 2018. I'll send her a text like, hey, Elaine was here. So I'll be on the lookout for that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's been amazing. It's been so fun to talk to you guys. And any way I can support and collaborate, like, happy to do so.
Thank you.
For sure.
And again, we're going to have 250 million subscribers, and we're going to be the #1 podcast in the world because we have amazing people like Elaine sharing their story, and we're going to make a huge impact. So thank you guys for tuning in. And as always,
follow your bliss.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Our goal, as always, is to become the #1 podcast in the world. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure you share this with 3 of your friends. And if you like our song, our intro song, please check out my good friend Maroni Silva's band, A Dead Desire, on YouTube. That song is called The Mantra. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. And as always, follow your bliss.